All right, so it's December, which means it's prime time to check out the Fiesta and see how this thing does in the winter. Now, normally winter arrives closer to usually around Christmas times when we get any significant snowfall. However, this year we woke up with 6 inches of snow on Thanksgiving, and it's been pretty much snowing on and off ever since. In fact, today I woke up and we got another probably 3 to 4 inches yet today. So anyway, we got a set of Blizzak WS60 tires installed on the Fiesta, which if you have an ST, you're going to have snow tires if you live in anywhere that you get significant amount of snow or even long durations of cold temperatures, as the Potenzas really only work to around 40 degrees or so. It's just too dangerous to try to drive in deep, heavy snow and in cold conditions on summer tires. It's just not right to do. So anyway, with the WS60 tires that we have installed on here, so far we've had no trouble whatsoever. 6 inches of fresh snow Thanksgiving morning meant the plows weren't out yet, and we went out for some early morning shopping with my wife, and we had no trouble. We were plowing, of course, with the front bumper, and I had to clean the intercooler out because it was packed full of snow. But besides that, no issues whatsoever getting around. In fact, most of the things out that day were four-wheel drive trucks and SUVs, and I'm out there with a Fiesta, and I'm thinking this thing is way better. In fact, we also have my wife has a 2013 Escape Titanium, and it doesn't go through the snow nearly as good as what the Fiesta does on snow tires. That, of course, is a function of tires. One other thing that I really like about the ST versus like my 2011 car is I have the ability now to pick between the 3 modes of traction and stability control. And if you saw the video that Bryan had made, he kind of demonstrated how those 3 levels allow the car to slide and how much wheel spin you get in the snow. For the most part, if I'm on the highway, I leave the system fully on. At highway speeds, to me, it's the safest thing to do is to leave it on. However, when I come up to off ramps, on ramps, side roads, or any type of maneuverability that I need probably less than 40 miles per hour, I end up turning the stability control over to sport mode. That allows for a fair amount of sliding when coupled with a little bit of left foot braking and a little bit of handbrake at the same time. I'm able to kind of get the car to rotate around. The stability control usually kicks in just at the very tail end of where I want the car to be pointed so that I can accelerate straight down the road. So I'll actually kind of set the car up, going into the turn a little sideways, but just a few degrees, slip, get the car pointed in the right direction. The stability control by then has kind of triggered on, and I will be able to accelerate straight. So all my front wheels are doing at that point are focusing on acceleration rather than having to turn and accelerate. I'm using the rear tires to help rotate the car. To me, that's my favorite way to drive in the winter. I drive that way all the time. My 2011 doesn't allow me to turn the system off or a sport mode or anything else, and it sucks for me because I use the handbrake and my left foot to rotate the vehicle on a pretty much turn-by-turn basis. And so to not have that because of the computer overriding me, I find that to be absolutely silly. It's not a 600 horsepower hypercar. It's a 120 horsepower sport compact. The ability not to turn that off is just absolutely silly. So I'm glad they fixed that on the ST because it makes driving this thing in the winter an absolute blast. I love driving this car in the winter. Find an open parking lot, gravel road, something that you want to go have fun with, turn the stability control completely off, go out there, have some fun, explore the limits of the car. Because you know what? The way the car behaves at 20 miles per hour, 15, 25 miles per hour in that range on very slippery surfaces with the system completely off helps you learn how to control the car at higher speeds like you'd see on a road course or an autocross. So you're really kind of focusing your driving skills on a slower speed, on a slippery surface, and learning how to like counteract the steering, how to apply throttle, how to behave with the car. So I try to use winter to improve my own dry traction driving by slow speeds, messing around in the winter. I'm learning how to control the vehicle in different circumstances. Plus, if you get into an emergency situation in the winter, you have the ability to understand what the car is going to do and be able to maneuver out of that that situation. So it's an important skill to have, and being able for me to switch between the 3 modes of stability control allow me to practice different skill sets that I need both for the winter as well as for the summer for autocrossing and track use. But overall, for most people aren't going to drive it that way. So if you drive this like a normal car, and if you have the proper tires on it, you will be absolutely amazed at how well it does. Yeah, the car sits lower. I've never had a problem. I mean, yeah, you drag bottom on snow, but when it's 6-8 inches of snow and drifts, you're gonna drag unless you have a large truck or something like that. And you know, guess what? I can get anywhere I need to go in the winter and still get close to like, what, 35, 40 miles to the gallon, whatever. And I don't have to have a gigantic monstrosity of a pickup truck getting 12 miles to the gallon. This thing does it all. I have no problems there. Another couple things, heated seats. This morning I walked out, it was 14 degrees. Heated seats work great. They actually heat up faster than my leather ones. I think it's just because the cloth doesn't retain the cold nearly as much. And I think it helps transfer the heat a little bit faster, so it actually doesn't feel as cold. Or maybe the seats are a little bit better. But yeah, they heat up just fine. No problems with getting the cockpit up to temperature using the HVAC system. No problems there. Gloves work on my Ford Touch, in case you didn't know that. I have not had any issues operating the buttons with that. The only downfall to the car in the winter is, since I use the handbrake as a steering wheel, the console is designed so that the cups sit right next to the handbrake handle, and the armrest takes the spot of what used to be the rear cup holder. So whenever I pull the handbrake, my coffee cup goes flying, and then I have to go pick it up. Very dangerous when the coffee cup is full. Thankfully, I've been aware of it and either moved the coffee cup to the back or kind of like rotated my hand into a weird funky way so that I don't have to hit the coffee cup when I pull the handbrake. So a couple ways. I can install a coffee maker at work, or I get an auxiliary handbrake handle, or buy a center console out of a 2011 and just forget the armrest and get the cup holder in the back where I want it to be. So a couple options. That's pretty minor. I mean, that's like one of the only real complaints I have. Something else I've noticed is this is the first car I've driven in the winter in 14 years that has not had rally style mud flaps on it. And you get a ton of snow and ice buildup inside the wheel wells. So I religiously install those on all my cars, and I'll do so on the ST. And if you have one, I would also suggest, especially if you're running winter tires, which kick up a lot of snow as they are self-cleaning, to install a set of large mud flaps. There's a number of makers or manufacturers that make them. I use just a generic 12 by 18 piece of urethane, 1/8 inch thick. Bolt that onto the inner fender, and that really cuts down on the stuff that builds up inside the wheel well, as well as what builds up on the rocker. It also prevents stone abrasion from the rocker panels and the side skirts and lower door. So it's kind of a win-win all around, something that I do on all my cars. I'll definitely do it to the ST when I get one. So anyway, no real problems. If you do have any questions on how the ST performs in the winter, by all means, leave me a comment. BRGT350 on YouTube. You can also find me on Instagram, and I like to post plenty of pictures of this thing hooning around in the dirt and gravel. So if you do have any questions, by all means, feel free to ask, but I have no complaints whatsoever about the ST in the winter. I think this thing really goes through anything. I've raced it on racetracks. I've autocrossed it. I've driven it hard on the streets. I've climbed mountains with it. I've driven it in the gravel, driven it in the mud, two-tracked it, driven in the snow, driven on ice, you name it. I have yet to find anything this car really won't do. So that's really kind of a good testament on how well the engineering is on the Fiesta ST. So probably one of the last updates I have with the car. It goes away here in a little over a week. So hope you guys have enjoyed all the updates, and by all means, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll do my very best to answer them best I can. Thanks again. Bye.